a Super Bowl champion.
The Green Bay Packers have won the Super Bowl.
The Packers' all-time leading scorer.
A game winner for Mason Crosby.
It's time for the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Nellis, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers, on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, and on the free Odyssey app.
So give credit to them. I got a lot of respect for those guys. Gannon, I think, does a hell of a job. Rollis does a hell of a job. Like, those guys are really good coaches.
High noon and welcome in. This is the Mason Crosby Show across the great state of Wisconsin and wherever your electronic device may be today. Staying warm, staying ice-free, because I saw some videos of not your neighborhood, Mason, but right down the road where entire neighborhoods under ice from these storms all weekend long. He's Tommy Wirtz. I'm Mitch Nellis. Mason, happy Monday to you.
We are not ice. I just sent Tommy a picture he can put up on the stream possibly from right outside the window where I'm at recording right now or doing this live. There is ice. It's crazy. I feel very fortunate that I can even be on right now because so many people are affected by this ice storm. So different down here, right? I mean, whenever I can see out my window, I mean, literally a half-inch layer of ice around all the tree branches, right? And so it just falls, crushes power lines. The roads are ice. Like, it's an immovable object that just has to thaw out here at some point. So thinking about all those that have been affected, and again, grateful that I can just jump on and I still have power and I still have internet, and I can talk to you boys today about all the happenings. What a weekend, right? Yes. Like, we ended up having a big weekend of news, and we're going to dive deep into all of it right now with everybody.
Absolutely. The Green Bay Packers get a brand new defensive coordinator. They do not wait for the Denver Broncos, who again put up a phenomenal defensive effort under their defensive team, and Jim Leonard part of that. Jonathan Gannon on his way to Green Bay. Some Green Bay Packers assistants getting interviews. Donnie Druin, Cardinals on SI writer, is going to join us at the top of the 1 o'clock hour. He'll talk about what Jonathan Gannon looked like as head coach in Arizona. Not a great tenure, certainly a better tenure as defensive coordinator with the Philadelphia Eagles. Before that, a couple, I don't know if they were great games, one great game, two competitive games yesterday, that's for sure.
Tight games.
Yeah, tight games. Always fun to watch football in the weather. I know we've had crazy weather. And it's funny to think about, Mason, that you have the weather you're having outside of Nashville, Tennessee. Meanwhile, in Milwaukee, throughout the state of Wisconsin, we've got cold, but we don't have. And if you're watching right now on YouTube and on Twitter, Tommy just put up the picture. I mean, it's beautiful, but it's dangerous, right?
It's dangerous. A lot of branches down. Kind of in the back of that shot, there is a tree that like came out from the roots on like the hill, like right on the edge of our property. Luckily, nothing affected by it, but I mean, it was a giant, 50-foot tall plus tree. I mean, this thing is massive. So I saw like Taylor Luan like talking about like $50,000 worth of damage probably on his property from trees down and all of that. So the cleanup process here is going to be immense. I mean, it is, I've seen pictures in Franklin and in Nashville where streets are just literally, they're impassable because trees are just blocking the roadway. So yeah, it's kind of wild. And yes, as it was beautiful watching that Broncos versus Patriots game, I asked you two that question, which I was curious about. And y'all both were like, oh gosh, no, like no neutral site for these championship games. But I do look back in like my tenure in Green Bay. It's great having a home game and all those things. And one team might be deemed home, but I'm like, that is a neutralizer of like all the talent that is on a field, right? Like, I think Broncos win that game against the Patriots if they're not playing in those elements.
You can make
the Patriots argument. I think in Green Bay, had we played in a neutral site a couple times, like the polar vortex, there were times we were looking at like Detroit or Minnesota having to go there because of like how the weather was. And I think that actually might have been beneficial in some of those games had we had to go and play in a dome with the type of teams we had.
And how many times did we hear it? And Mason, I don't know if you guys talked about this internally or if you guys heard this through the media. We were told as fans, as media members, that Aaron Rodgers' favorite shoes were the sneakers he got to wear in domes. That he
exactly.
that as much as we talked about home field advantage, that if Aaron Rodgers could have 70 and no wind, or even the weather that it was in Seattle last night, where it was like 40s and nice, like that was optimal Aaron Rodgers. Weather was never optimal Aaron Rodgers football.
Yeah, I mean, I look at the kind of some of the big games that we lost there in Lambeau Field, and the weather was a huge factor. It was a team comes in, some bounces go weird because you eliminate just like a head-to-head at that point. The weather comes in, and it's just like it becomes a major factor in the game, and now it erases kind of any advantage, and it's just like who gets like the lucky bounces, who deals with it better in that one moment. And sometimes it's just kind of a coin flip. So it's interesting. It was crazy, but we do need to talk about this hiring of Gannon. I know everybody's waiting. I want to know what people are feeling. I am very curious what the fan base feels about it. I want to know what y'all are thinking. I have some of my opinions. I heard some more comments from him like this weekend.
Okay.
And I'm like, I mean, if he brings some of that, like I like it, like that coaching philosophy where he goes and he says, I am not a scheme guy. I'm not going to just like say, this is what I run, fit in or get out type of thing. He's going to adjust and make a defense for the players that are in place, a lot like we appreciated Hafley did. Mm-hmm. And for me, that is good coaching. So that to me is a positive for Gannon. I'd love to hear what y'all think about that hire and what your reactions were.
You got fire in your gut?
You got fire in your gut, huh?
Sorry.
414-677-1250 is the Nicolay Law Talk and text line. 414-677-1250. Give us a call. Shoot us a text. Find us on YouTube and Twitter at WI Sports Radio as well. Get your comments in like Brett did right away here on the show. To me, the Gannon hire is just fine. That's what Brett says. And I think that was kind of the initial reaction. Before anybody did any research, before anybody thought about it, when the news first came out, it's like, well, why didn't you wait for Jim Leonard? Or, we've been pushing Al Harris a lot. And, what did others get a real shot? I think the first initial reaction was, meh, okay. And that was the first reaction.
Yeah.
Now we've had a chance to dig a little deeper.
Do you think it's an ego thing again? Like, and we talk about ego up there a lot, like because some other teams were interested and they were worried he was going to be off the table. It's like, Matt and like the powers that be are like, well, we got it. We just got to make this decision now because it is in my mind ridiculous to not wait to interview Jim Leonard. Or do your due process with all of these guys. If you didn't interview Raheem Morris, if you didn't interview Sean McDermott, if you didn't just do the full thing, you have to love this guy and he better be successful right away.
Well, and so I think that you bring up a point there, Mason. I just think that Jonathan Gannon, his reaction to his hiring is a victim of the lack of storyline that comes from that with the Jonathan Gannon hire, where as Al Harris being the former player and having the ability to turn the football over wherever he's gone, and Jim Leonard with the Wisconsin ties, also a former defensive back in the NFL, a position of need Green Bay needs going into next season. Like Jonathan Gannon felt like it was the most boring, for lack of a better word, hire that they could have had. Maybe it is a splash move in getting a former NFL head coach. A lot of people wanted to go see Sean McDermott, maybe get an interview. Raheem Morris, like you brought up as well, for the Packers at the defensive coordinator position.
Yep.
But Jonathan Gannon, call it how it is. He was on a terrible team the last 3 years that he was in charge of. And then it found out like he wasn't even calling the defensive plays for the team out there, even though he's the defensive minded coach and head coach. He had a great 2 years in Philadelphia. He had a stacked team in Philadelphia. His team was not stacked in Arizona, but it's kind of a dumpster fire of an organization as well as with the Cardinals. So it feels like it's really hard to judge him based on his tenure in the NFL because there's been so many other factors that people are now weighing in when looking back at just his last 5 years of coaching.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't come in his first meeting and ask anyone if they took the bus to the stadium today in Green Bay. That was the most that was so cringy. I mean,
and I
to
like
speak
no
for like my
energy,
15-year-old, yeah.
But it was also like no energy. Like he might have.
It's false. That's fake. Yeah, guys don't respond to that. Like you, first off, like you're. Lack of a better word, you're a middle-aged white dude. Like, have you ever like taken a bus and like done anything hard really in your life? All right. Like let's call it what it is. Don't fake energy. Pull things out from guys in a different way, right? Like you just say, well, yeah, like we are going to compete. We are going to be tough. We are going to fly around to the football. I'm going to put you in positions to be successful, and I'm going to go let y'all make plays. Like be real, be authentic. Don't make noise for noise sake, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like don't try to create this narrative of toughness or like what grit and grind is like.
Thank you.
Do it on the field with how you expect everyone to play and how you coach. That's how that's just my opinion on that for sure.
Real quick, Q writes in on the YouTube channel, I'm glad it's a former NFL head coach that found success in the NFL as a coordinator because before I was afraid MLF would go with someone with less experience because that's what he's done in the past. And Mason, I think as we did last week a lot, we could probably argue this both ways, right?
Yeah.
We could argue this both ways, but Q's happy that it's someone who has been a head coach who's not necessarily just going to be a yes man for LaFleur.
True. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess.
Can we definitively say that?
Unless they're just buds.
No,
yeah.
can't.
I mean,
Right.
unless it's
All
like one of those types of situations. But, some of the comments I didn't like, it was LaFleur prefers on defense for them not to, blitz a lot and, get home with 4. And I'm like, why does that matter what like LaFleur prefers there? Like, is that just a control of the clock? So it's like you don't give up big plays and you're not like, I guess I'm just like, I'm in the mindset of control the clock on and be like, be chaos creators on defense is how I would try to operate. But, it's just a philosophy.
We just like chaos.
And I think it's more why LaFleur's offense doesn't, like he said it before, right? He was like against Arizona, he was like, they didn't blitz. They made it hard for us to, we had to just check down, do different things. So it was almost like because Gannon's defense style was tough on LaFleur's offense. Like, is that why he likes him? Because that kind of philosophy is tough for LaFleur to operate with his offensive scheme. Like, to me, that's like, in a sense, a little backwards on how you're thinking. It's like, I know this is hard for me. I think I'm like a great, offensive coach and play caller. So like, I'd like my defensive coach to call the game the same way. And we saw that this year, and it actually was less productive than it was the year before in takeaways and things like that. Chaos creation last year with Hafley in 2024 actually produced more takeaways and more disruption than it ended up doing throughout the course of the season here in 25.
414-677-1250, the phone number. Your initial thoughts on Jonathan Gannon, former Arizona head coach, former Philadelphia defensive coordinator when they were number 1 in football as a defense and led the league in sacks back in 22. Jonathan Gannon.
You can't deny that.
Yep. He did not. It did not work out for him as a head coach in Arizona, but we'll see if he can do it as defensive coordinator again. Let's go out to Chris in Muskego. Chris, you are first up on the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon.
Hey, gentlemen. I guess I'm pretty much indifferent on the choice. I mean, Arizona, what are they, the second worst next to the Raiders? So you can't really blame him for a screwed up general manager and owner that don't know how to get talent. He did have a stacked defense in Philly. He's not going to have that here. He's got two best defensive players other than McKinney are coming off of major surgeries. And though they can say in January, we're going to be ready to play game 1, we know a lot of times that doesn't happen. He's got a good middle linebacker. They're getting rid of their next good linebacker in Walker because they don't want to sign him. And he's going to have nothing. I mean, and then you got Goody. Goody didn't, when they got rid of Kenny Clark, they knew they needed to get someone in the middle. They didn't do nothing. They said, we're going to go with these 2 guys for the last 3 years that haven't done nothing. That's a failure on Goody. And at the trade deadline, he didn't help them out either. So Goody's got a lot to get because their defensive backs are trash. Nixon can go to punt returning, and other than that, I don't want him on the field covering passes. All he is 15-yard penalty waiting to happen.
Mm.
And Valentine, you don't know which Valentine you're going to get. You're going to get the guy who's covering and tackling. You're going to get the guy that gets blown.
Right, but Chris, you're talking about last year's defense, right? In 2026, we don't know who's coming back. We don't know what that's going to look like. Like we watched the 25 season, right? This is now Gannon's defense. There's going to be changes in personnel, and now we have the opportunity to see what's next.
I agree, but to expect him, I'm like you. I do not expect him to come out with this great, big, fantastic defense. The simple fact is they don't have a salary cap. They don't have the personnel to get there. It's going to take 2 years at least to try to build the defense for him to go, because there's so many guys that are just guys on our defensive side.
Yep, you better hope they get home with that defensive front and then shore up the back end, because if it's anything like this year, LaFleur spoke to it, right? He was like, with the time of possession discrepancy, we couldn't get off the field. We were getting pressure, we were doing things, but we had to be perfect on offense. And to me, that is not a recipe for success. So I hope he comes in, sees what he has, and finds a way to unlock everybody on that defense. Really appreciate you jumping on, bud.
Yeah, thanks, Chris.
I got a couple of news and notes here that I also thought would be fun to bring up during this, because
Hold on. These better be fun.
here's one
if I know Tommy Wirtz, it's fun. Like when I think of Tommy Wirtz,
These are fun
I think
news
of
and
fun.
notes.
Yeah.
Let me hear, like, from the talk and text line, first and foremost, from the 414, even if Gannon told the Packers he wasn't waiting because he had other offers, why would the Packers go with a guy they weren't entirely sold on? At that rate, hold out and on to Jim Leonard, or take a chance with another guy like Al Harris or Durante Jones. Seems like they just settled at the moment. Eric also writes in, I don't know what people want. Gannon is a Super Bowl caliber DC, and I look at head coaches that drop down to DCs, Leslie Frazier, Wade Phillips, Todd Bowles, Vic Fangio, and I am stoked about the Cardinals head coach, and the record doesn't matter for me. People whine no matter who they pick.
Well, that's true. There's some of that. But maybe I think
I think everyone's in the right, like it's kind of right here. And I think that's what this hire is. It's a safe bet. It's a proven bet that, like, with a good defense, with the right people in place, Gannon has had success like he did with the Eagles. You know, take what he did as a head coach and you just throw that out the window. What did he do as a defensive coordinator? Had success with good players in place. So now that puts pressure, and that says, all right, Goody, make sure that we have the right type of players that mesh and work, like are going to seamlessly work together from top to bottom, not just your best, right? Like this has to be built from the bottom up in a sense, right? Like that last player on the roster on the defense has to have similar traits as far as competitiveness, what they're about, as Micah Parsons. Let's just put him at the top, right?
Yes.
Like that has to be the standard, and everybody that steps into that building has to follow along on that standard, or they're not going to be there for very long.
There is a couple of, I have a article piece here that's in a pro, I think a lot of people would like to hear, and one that is a con. Which one do you want me to start with? Pro or con here, talking about Jonathan Gannon?
Go pro.
Okay.
Let's go positive today.
All right, we'll start it. Jonathan Gannon runs a version of longtime NFL defensive coordinator Vic Fangio's scheme, mixed equally between cover 3, 1 safety, and cover 4, 2 safeties. The Packers were predominantly cover 3 last year, leaving Xavier McKinney as the lone deep safety. However, Gannon shares a strong preference with LaFleur to rush the quarterback primarily with 4 down linemen, leaving 7 players in coverage rather than using a heavy blitz package. So the positive of being like Vic Fangio's defensive scheme has worked out very well, and that is kind of where his tree comes from. You could call it Sirianni, but he is also worked with Vic Fangio, who a lot of people I think are very satisfied with as a defensive coordinator in the NFL.
For sure.
The con. Okay.
Whoa.
One mantra that Gannon seems to have taken from Matt Eberflus. That's the line here.
Hard pass.
Oh gosh.
This is like so conflicting for the Mason Crosby show. It's called the HITS principle. Have you read about the hits principle, Mason Crosby.
No, I saw like was it EPA or something like that, or
Yeah,
is
the
that
EPA is not.
earn points per attempt or something?
Well,
like that?
so this isn't a stat. This is a mantra.
Oh, this is a mantra.
This
Okay,
is-
okay. This isn't a
this is a
factual
different
stat. Okay.
which we
acronym.
generally love on the Mason Crosby
Yeah.
show. We're
Yeah,
here
let's
for
hang
a
our
good-
hat on something.
We're here
yeah.
for a good mantra.
Hits stands for hustle, intensity, takeaways, and smart.
I can be okay with that.
Okay,
I mean,
Can it be smarts?
like
Can it be
Smarts. Yeah, it should be
smarts?
smarts. Yeah.
he picked it up when he worked with Matt Eberflus as an assistant. in
Honestly, I
Indianapolis.
want to take that S and put it at the beginning.
smart.
No, like
Yeah.
SHIT.
Yeah, I got it.
That's what I want the mantra to be. Smart. Yeah.
Smart. Hustle. Yeah, exactly.
Smart
Yeah.
hustle, intensity, takeaways. Like that to me, like I think the guys would get on board with that.
They
That
might,
is your
they might.
mantra.
Kind of flows better.
But back to the Gannon hiring, and I think that what the question many of us have, Mason, and you brought it up in your opening salvo, was that was there a miss in some due diligence here in not waiting for the Broncos, and was there a reason you needed to go ahead with the Gannon hiring over the weekend? Like, there's rumors that there are a couple other teams interested. Was there I have an offer from someone else, but I'd rather come to the Packers, so he came back to the Packers? Was there rumors that somebody else was about to make him an offer, so they went ahead and did that? I mean, and that happens.
Yeah.
But I do wonder, like, was there one step of Jim Leonard due diligence missed, knowing that the Broncos are probably going to lose that game yesterday? They were underdogs with a backup quarterback. And could you have waited to talk to Jim Leonard today?
I'm going to give the positive spin here. Something that the Packers, this could be one of those things that I've been saying, like, I hope they do more. Like, you kind of die on the sword that you want to be, right? So if they say Gannon is the type of coach, the type of guy that we want, why would we go look somewhere else? Like, if that's the case, come out and say that. Like, I want to hear that. Like, we met with like Jonathan Gannon. He is the type of coach we want coaching this defense. He's our guy. That's the route we're going. Doesn't matter who else is out there. Love this guy. I can ride on that, right? Like, Let's go. Let's ride that train. We'll see how it unfolds. And I will say the other side of that, Jim Leonard, they interviewed in 21. Like, and he's done some things, but like how much has that changed? They kind of know what that interview is going to be, right? So if they were like, well, Gannon checks more boxes, here's all the criteria that we're looking for, we're going to roll with this guy because we bring Jim Leonard in here. That's great. But if we lose Gannon and like we don't go with him, like Leonard, because we know what he is and who he is, then you're stuck, right? So I think that was probably the process that they went through. And I honestly can appreciate saying, he's our guy. We're going to go get him just like you would with a player. Let's make it happen and let's roll with this and get this offseason started. So from a positive spin, that's how I'm going to approach it. And until proven otherwise, Jonathan Gannon, like, let's ride with him. If he can't have success with this defense, then those questions will be answered during the football season.
414-677-1250 is the Nicolay Law talking text line. 414-677-1250. Get us your text. Give us your calls. CB in downtown Milwaukee, we know you're there. We will get to you right when we get out of the gates in the next segment. This is the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon. Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers. The Super Bowl is set. It is the New England Patriots and the Seattle Seahawks. We'll see if Russell Wilson decides to throw an inside slant instead of handing the ball to Marshawn Lynch.
Replay of 2014, the last time the Seahawks hosted an NFC championship in Seattle. That was like kind of wild.
Yep, brutal decision. I don't know that. I think that ruined Darrell Bevell's career. Darrell Bevell was the offensive coordinator, former Badger quarterback. Yeah, and I think he was like viewed as like an up and coming offensive coordinator, and that play call ruined his career.
Yeah,
give the ball to Marshawn Lynch.
Yeah,
like I know seriously. I'm a Patriots fan, but just give it. Like, what are we doing here?
No, that is not a good decision.
No. This is the Mason Crosby Show. We're talking about the hiring of Jonathan Gannon, new defensive coordinator for the Green Bay Packers. We'll get into some offensive coaches, potential news. What does it mean that Jeff Hafley maybe isn't interested in some of his assistants? But let's start things out. CB is in downtown Milwaukee. Let's go to CB on the Mason Crosby Show.
Hey, how y'all doing today?
What's up? Yeah, we're doing great. Yeah, Monday morning, ready to roll. Let's go.
There you go. Jonathan Gannon, I don't really have an issue with him. Just got to bring in the type of players that he want to try to, maneuver and fit into his style of play. But I want to talk about Jim Leonard for a minute, and everybody's riding his time like he's the greatest of all. And Leonard haven't done anything yet in the NFL, in my opinion. Yeah, he can coach DBs, but at the same time, how come he ain't running the team yet?
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And I think that was probably their reason for not waiting till after Denver got out. It's like, all right, we interviewed Jim Leonard. He hasn't become a defensive coordinator for any other team at this point. Like, we know what he is, so we're going to go with a more proven entity to fill this role.
Ain't nobody knocking down his door saying, okay, I want you to run this defense. Nobody yet. The only people really so-called personally as far as with the Packers, but ain't nobody else reached out to him as far as that I know of. So all this talk about Leonard, this and that, he ain't proved nothing. And I'm glad they went with a veteran, bringing some nice pieces in here, and Gannon can do the job. He kind of remind me of a Jeff Hafley, kind of running the same thing to me. So I don't have an issue with it.
All right.
Thanks for the call.
Yep, appreciate you.
And I think that's kind of the sentiment right now, Mason. Right? It's like I don't have a problem with it. I'm not like excited about it, but I'm not like I don't think it's a miss. I guess. Well,
I think the mindset too, right, is like, okay, we had Jeff Hafley. He went to Miami.
Yeah.
Is this just literally like a younger, like just kind of the next Jeff Hafley type coach, right? It was just like, all right, let's keep this thing rolling. This is the best option to keep it similar to Jeff Hafley. And I think they said that, right? Like his defense is similar enough. We're not reinventing the wheel for all these guys that have been in that building. We're going to add pieces and do this thing, but it will not be completely different. It won't be different language, different philosophy, different everything. And you're not having somebody implement it for the first time. So I get it. I mean, I do. I get the choice. It's a very Green Bay type choice. And I do think it says like, we want to have success in these first 2 years. And you don't know, was Ed Policy in those rooms or in that building saying like, you need a guy to try to win these these next 2 years, or this thing could start unraveling, right?
Well, and Mason, as someone who, I mean, you've had coaching changes both from a guy going and getting a job and a guy losing his job in your locker room. When it is a situation like Jeff Hafley where he leaves to go get a job, was that Matt LaFleur's job this offseason to get someone who was as close as they could be to Jeff Hafley? Or was it supposed to be, well, let's mix something up when we because that would be the attitude if you fire someone, right? You fire.
Oh, yeah. No, that's a great point, Tom.
Shout out to Big Mike getting a job this week. But when he gets a job, like, all right, we need something new. We need something different in here. And then you bring in a guy like LaFleur. Well, Jeff Hafley got his job. Yep. So are you trying to just replicate Hafley as much as you can? That's maybe what the Gannon move does.
Tommy, you're just smart for how youthful you are. You are wise beyond your years. I think that's exactly what they said, right? It's like, we didn't fire Hafley. we would have rolled with Hafley like until they're, he wasn't successful or until we needed a change. So like, yes, you don't want to change what he was doing. Like, yes, the end of the season wasn't perfect. It wasn't great. All the injuries, all the issues that came on. Like, let's try to just have someone similar and take it to the next level if possible. Try to get back to getting more takeaways. Try to be more disruptive on the back end type of stuff. Try to get to the quarterback a little bit more, not just pressures, but actual sacks and affecting him that way. So I think it's probably a wise move when you look at it from that frame point where it's like, we didn't fire Jeff Hafley. He went and took a job.
Mm-hmm.
Let's find someone as similar to him and his philosophy as possible.
How do you feel about Mike McCarthy with the job in Pittsburgh?
Oh, man, I'm so happy for him. I sent him a text yesterday, and in true Big Mike fashion, he texted right back, just like, man, I really appreciate it. Like, all the best to you and your family. Let me know whenever you want to interview for the special teams job. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. That didn't happen. That didn't happen. Yeah. Fake news. Yeah, that's fake. But no, it's awesome. And my thought there.
Is the drive from Nashville to Pittsburgh?
There's nonstop flights. Don't worry. I've already checked on it.
It's only an 8-hour drive.
It's easy. It's easy. Quick Southwest flight back and forth. I mean, we can build that in the schedule. I can be home every Friday night watching Nolan play ball. Yeah, it'd be perfect. So happy. But what happens there? What if Coach McCarthy goes down the Al Harris defensive coordinator path? Because I'm curious who is staff? Like, what his staff is going to look like? Like, is he add new pieces? Is he going to kind of roll with some of the kind of the same pieces he's had in the past? I'm really curious to see what kind of staff he builds over there.
Do you have an inkling? Do you think he could go young and kind of like fire things up a little bit, knowing or do you think he goes with kind of the guys he knows?
I think here's going to be the question is like, okay, so we're going to dive into this a little bit. And we had this on the rundown is Steno's interviewing for Tennessee today, right? Stenovich.
Yeah. Yep.
If like they pull the trigger, if he becomes the OC here in Tennessee,
I'm wishing him luck, by the way.
Are the Packers trying to get someone from the outside, or are you trying to bring Vrabel up? Because they put up Vrabel to pass game coordinator, and he's a name. Him and Getsy are names that are associated with Big Mike out there in Pittsburgh right now. They're both from that area. Like, it makes sense for them to go home and be, kind of take that next step under a coach like Mike McCarthy. So I don't know. I mean, there's going to be some pressure there to make some decisions. And I think that what for me, and we talked about this a little bit with like the Hafley move, is he at this point, he just kept the pass game coordinator on as the OC now there in Miami. He's not bringing what it looks like he's not bringing any offensive coaches from Green Bay with him. We're still yet to see if he'll bring any of his defensive guys with him. And I'm sure there will be some changes there as Gannon comes in. He's probably going to watch some of his guys in place. We're going to see some defensive moves. It's all very fascinating. It's like a 3-pronged thing that we're watching here. With all those moves on the coaching front.
Mace, we got full phone lines here on the
Let's go.
Show. 414-677-1250, the Nicolay Law Talking text line. Let's start with Mike in Greenfield. Mike, you're on the Mason Crosby Show.
Hey, gentlemen. I'm a fan of Leonard. I would have liked him see him go to the Badgers, evident, but their hire there was good, but that didn't work out so much for now. But I think one thing about Gannon is he knows what a real good defense looks like. And a couple of people have been sounding in like, well, his defense was loaded. Well, on the other hand, everybody knows what a bad defense looks like. He saw one of the best defenses around. I think that'll be a plus, and I can keep hoping that Leonard lands on his feet, and I'm sure he will.
I'm sure he will. Mike, thanks for the call. I mean, that's, we wish Jim Leonard the best, but this gives the Packers an opportunity to see what Gannon can do. Let's go out to Tony in snowy, icy Texas.
Yo, Mitch. Hey, first of all, I got to say, old school gold package, County Stadium, Packers season holder, passed on from generation to generation. And Mason, the city, the state is shut down. The power is on, though. We're surviving. We're going to make it, but, we can't go anywhere. So I'm calling you guys right now. And I want to say this about the Packers. Ron Wolf is the greatest general manager maybe in the NFL history. This guy is branched off with this tree of GMs including the Packers GM, with Ted Thompson, John Schneider, Elliot Wolf, Alonzo Highsmith. Hey, I got to ask you, Mason, who recruited you? Or who brought you in? Who brought you in back in the day?
It was John Schneider. Yeah. And
so you and Schneider are tight.
I have some stories about John Schneider. We were going to dive into him and Wolf and their rise to being just great GMs and the teams that they assembled. So that's a great take.
Hey, John Dorsey. I mean, the list goes on.
Dorsey,
I can't even remember all. But here's my deal, Mason, and I'm gonna put you on the hot seat here too.
You always do.
It's up to the players, man. Y'all, I mean, and I know there's 53 guys in the roster. You got the practice squad. There was just times in the clutch y'all just didn't get it done. I'm not talking about you. You made your kicks, but these players, whether it was Aaron's and Mike or Matt and Jordan or Matt and Aaron, in the clutch, for whatever reason, it just didn't happen. And some players, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant in basketball, Joe Montana, Tom Brady in football and such, yourself as a kicker, guys like that came through in the clutch. There's just the players, I'm putting it on them. They didn't take care of business, man. And I don't know if it's what it is, if it gets too bright for them or whatever. Because I think, y'all, how many titles, honestly, should you have won? How many rings should you have, Mason?
More than one.
5?
Yeah, more definitely should have
4
played
maybe?
in at least more than one of those games for sure. I mean, I
Yeah.
played in 6 NFC championships and only got to 1 Super Bowl and won it. So
It's not a great record,
by the way.
not ideal.
Devontae.
I know. I hate it
feel
for
for
Devontae.
Same.
For sure.
Same.
But okay, Mason. So
yeah.
it's up to the players, though, buddy. Right?
It is.
It's at the end of the day, the coaches. So in your mind, the coaches and the GM puts you in a spot to win Super Bowls, and the players just for whatever reason, it didn't happen, man. Just once.
Yep. And they got to, again, I think up there too, it's like trust and control, like who is in charge, right? It's like if the head coach just doesn't give it over to the locker room, it feels like Micah Parsons is trying to take that, at least from the defensive side of the ball.
That.
So you got Micah Parsons. Now you need Jordan Love, or you need somebody a little more outspoken on that offensive side of the ball.
Point.
Just to say,
point.
This is our show. We're taking it. Coaches, get us in a spot to be successful, and we are going to do everything in our power at the best of our ability to go out there and get it done. That's the only way you can be successful in this league.
Hey, Mason, that's a great point. I love that take. And I think back when you were playing, I thought your O-line, you guys had some total alpha dudes that were just like Josh Sitton, TJ Lang, all these dudes. And I don't know what they got going on right now. I look at the O-line. I'm like, well, who's the dog on that group? Who's the alpha taking control of the room? Is the quarterback taking control of the room? I don't know. I mean, so
need to hear some players' voices coming out of that space.
Thanks
demanding greatness, Tony. No doubt.
All right, guys.
Good stuff. Good stuff. Stay warm.
Appreciate
yourself.
you.
Yep. And real quick, let's sneak in Brian and McGuanago. Brian, you're on the Mason Crosby Show.
What the love is for Al Harris. Maybe you can explain it to me, because I remember when he got burned by Plaxico Burress more than once, and his nickname was Al Toast Harris. He cost the Packers several times late in the games. So there's no love, and I'm glad they didn't hire Harris, not because I have anything against him personally, but back in the 70s and 80s when they kept getting all the Packer retreads to be coaches, they stunk for 30 years. So I'm glad that they went outside the box with some new ideas.
Love the history lesson.
Yeah, but the thing is that when you look at, I want a coach that's going to make good average players good players better, and better players studs. And that's when you have a coach. That's where the coach comes in. Anybody can be a coach with Micah Parsons and some of the studs that are on defense. But you need to have the guys that can elevate the players and make them play as one. And there's no I in team for a reason. So I'm just glad they went outside the box, and I'm just glad they didn't go with Al Harris. What's the love for Al Harris, though? Because he got burned, well, I'm telling you, more times than eggs in the pan at George Webb's.
I mean, Mason, I'm sure Brian, thanks for the call. Mason, I'm sure you want to take that one. But Brian, if you don't first of all, Al Harris was an all-pro cornerback.
Yeah.
But if you don't understand the difference between getting burned a couple times as a cornerback in the NFL and coaching 30 years later, man, we can't help you, bro.
Can I say just a couple of names? Just a couple of names that were on the Jonathan Gannon Super Bowl roster.
I wanted to go down that. That was until we went to the calls. I was going to say read that defense off. Who he had.
TJ Edwards. These are just guys who recorded a stat in the Super Bowl. That's what I'm looking at right now. TJ Edwards, Javon Hargrave, James Bradbury, Darius Slay, CJ Gardner Johnson, Fletcher Cox, Hassan Reddick, rookie Jordan Davis, Ndamukong Suh retread, Brandon Graham coming back, Robert Quinn coming back. Like, these are all studs. I'm skipping over some names that you're not going to really like. Josh Sweat just caught a bag last offseason. Milton Williams caught a bag a couple of years ago. Avonte Maddox was a starting corner on this team. Like, stacked.
Yep, for sure.
So, as Tony said, a lot of times it comes down to those players. You got to have the players on the roster. Let's continue this conversation. Let's talk about some of those Stenovich rumors and other guys who might be going other places. Shedeur Sanders, was there some Shedeur Sanders news, Mason? This is unbelievable. You got it. This is unreal. We'll get into that, and of course, we're going to go down to Arizona and talk to our Arizona reporter as Cardinals on SI at the top of the 1 o'clock hour. He's Mason Crosby, Tommy Wirtz, Mitch Nellis. We are the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon. This is the Mason Crosby Show presented by Verizon. I'm Mitch Nellis, a.k.a. Thunder. Tommy Wirtz is here, and the kicker in the house. Mace, what's the funniest thing your kids did over the last day or two to deal with either inside or outside, just to deal with the elements?
Let's see. Well, not really funny, but they've started crocheting, so it's kind of funny.
That's real.
Yeah,
just
they're
everybody
like
sitting on the couch, watch a movie, and crochet.
They're working on some things, trying to get crafty, and just learn skills.
Can I get a purple winter hat?
Yeah, we'll work on it. I'll tell them to. They're working on little small animals right now, but maybe someday they'll get to the hats making.
Nice.
I don't.
Did y'all watch UFC on Saturday?
Yeah, Tommy did.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, go ahead.
What do you have?
You're not a UFC. You like wrestling, but you don't like actual fighting.
That is 100%.
Are you a UFC guy, Mason? I didn't know this.
I was this weekend with my brother, or not with my brother, with my son Nolan. He was into it.
Like him and his buddies, maybe.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, I love it. I love the actual fighting, like battling it out. Like I like the mixed martial arts aspect of it. I always wonder, some of these guys, like the lightweight or whatever, it's like, all right, this guy's literally Nolan size, 5'8", 5'9", 150 pounds.
You would kill them.
Yeah, and I'm just like, could I take a hit from him? Like, I'm always asking that question.
Did you not see Patty just getting? I mean, he was eating that whole fight. I mean,
he's a Liverpool dude, and so I was rooting for him.
I'm a Scouser. We don't get knocked out loud.
I
know. It got me
They're
fired
crazy,
up.
man.
Yeah, he proved it. I mean, Gaethje was just. I mean, he obviously won the fight, and Patty just kept getting back up. Right? It's not about how hard you fall. It's about when you get up, right?
It's when you get back up.
Yeah, I love the I don't miss pay-per-views. Like Austin Herdina, big fan of him too. So we talk about him always whenever we get together.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, the Potawatomi Sportsbook, they do the UFC fights. So if you guys ever want to go to one of those, you should absolutely book your time and your table over there at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. And I was a little concerned with the move to Paramount. Now, like the access, maybe it would hurt the environment over there. Looked awesome.
It was good.
And
the pregame, like the history of the UFC was pretty epic. Like it was cool to watch like the evolution of what the UFC's become.
I mean, the pregame coverage, like just throw Al Michaels on it though. It was kind of garbage.
It was garbage.
It was
like the
pretty
prelim
bad.
stuff was really bad.
They were struggling. They were struggling.
Bob Costas, maybe.
Yeah. NBC now.
He's going to be doing Sunday Night Baseball or whatever it is. In the 1 o'clock hour, second hour of the show, Donnie Druin, Cardinals on SI. He's going to join us to break down everything Jonathan Gannon. And then, of course, we will dive deeper into the games yesterday, our thoughts and perceptions and impressions of the games. He's Mason Crosby. He's Tommy Wirtz. I'm Mitch Nellis, a.k.a. Thunder. We are the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers.
A Super Bowl champion.
The Green Bay Packers have won the Super Bowl.
The Packers' all-time leading scorer.
A game winner for Mason Crosby.
It's time for the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Nellis, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers, on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, and on the free Odyssey app.
This is the Mason Crosby Show. It is 4 degrees in Hales Corners.
Nice.
I don't know what it is in Green Bay. I don't know what it is in Nashville. I don't know what it is in Phoenix, Arizona, but I'm guessing it's higher than 4 degrees. Joining us now on the guest hotline of the Mason Crosby Show. Guest hotline, of course, powered by Gruber Law. One call, that's all. From Cardinal on SI, Donnie Druin. Donnie, welcome to the show. Are you wearing short sleeves?
I'm not going to confirm or deny it. It's a brisk 60 degrees here, so.
Oh, brisk 60.
Yeah, it's a little cooler than normal. Yeah, that's nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It will be mid-70s here next week, by the way, so I'm not complaining at all. Yeah.
No, not at all.
All right. Well, obviously we're having you on. We're going to talk about Jonathan Gannon. How's he going to adjust to the change in temperatures? What does he bring to the table? We'd love to hear your insight into what it was covering him for the last few years and what you think about him.
Yeah, I think first and foremost, you have to start with the person. I think he's an incredibly personable guy. I think he was highly intentional whenever it came to getting high football characters in the locker room. And I think when you look at the Cardinals before he got there under the Cliff Kingsbury regime, it wasn't quite in the place where you would hope it was. And but I think Gannon, over the course of his 3 years, if he was able to accomplish anything, it was turning that locker room around and kind of really getting the word culture was a buzzword in Arizona. He really got that thing turned around. But as all of us kind of know, maybe some guys are better off as coordinators than head coaches. This was his first head coaching gig out here with the Cardinals. Didn't surround himself with a veteran staff, which I think ultimately led to his downfall. But he gets another shot in Green Bay where he's working with a very talented defense. We saw what he was able to do with a similarly talented defense with the Philadelphia Eagles before he jumped ship over here. Also notable, his track record with defensive backs. I mean, the Cardinals had multiple guys develop under him during his time in the desert. And I think that's going to be a big plus for a Packers secondary that didn't have Jair Alexander this year.
Well, Donnie, you said a buzzword there in Green Bay is cornerbacks and who that might be and where they need to add depth there or add a stud on the outside. Is there anyone from that Cardinals team that is up in free agency or anyone that that Gannon might be looking to bring with him, as some coaches try to do with with players as they leave their old teams?
Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think so. I think that the top two cornerbacks entering preseason, both Sean Murphy-Bunting and Sterling Thomas, are coming off season-ending injuries. And then you have Garrett Williams is due for a fat contract extension this offseason as one of the NFL's best corner nickels. And then you look at guys like Will Johnson. It's been a bunch of draft picks that have had to play under Jonathan Gannon, whether that due to necessity or injuries or whatever it might be. But I think because he's not going to likely bring any cornerbacks over from Arizona, I think that might be even more exciting for Packers fans because we've seen talent develop under Jonathan Gannon, especially on the defensive side of the ball and especially in that quarterback room.
Man, you're saying a lot of things that are probably getting Packers fans a little more excited about this hire because all that you're saying makes me more excited about it. The fact that he is developing players and not just putting a scheme together and be like, all right, let's put guys in place and let them just go and run what I'm trying to run. He is going to bring people along and put them in a place to be successful. So what kind of coaching staff can we expect from him? Is, Green Bay sometimes does it different. They kind of hand their, they give their coordinators coaches. They might be able to bring one or two guys with them. Does he have anyone that you feel like are just kind of his guys that he's going to want to come along with him?
Certainly. I think defensive coordinator Nick Rallis, who actually called plays for the Cardinals defense, it wasn't Jonathan Gannon doing it during his time here. Gannon was very much a CEO type of coach, which ultimately I think came back to bite him in the behind. But Nick Rallis, 3-year defensive coordinator, was previously the linebackers coach in Philadelphia with him before Gannon landed in Arizona, brought him over. And I would not be shocked at all if Rallis kind of joined him in the crew there. But they lost their defensive line coach to the college ranks. They lost their safeties coach to the college ranks too. So I wouldn't expect like it would be Gannon and all of his friends going over to Green Bay. I think Rallis is probably my top choice if he were to bring somebody over. But also there's just a lot of turnover that's happened even before Gannon was fired.
Okay, nice. Yeah, I find that fascinating because you say that was his downfall, being more in that CEO type position. So I'd love to hear a little bit more of like from your perspective why you think that was like because defensively, especially like when the Packers played them, like LaFleur had a lot of really good things to say about how they played them defensively. So that obviously was Gannon's side of the ball. But as if he's like looking over it all, you kind of like live and die with the whole team then, right? Instead of being like, all right, our defense was good. I might get another year because I can just, get a new offensive coordinator, try to reshape that. Is that kind of how you saw that unfold there?
Absolutely. I think the expectation towards the end of the year was Gannon would be staying in Arizona on the condition that he would have to go find another offensive coordinator. Drew Petzing was previously in that seat before his contract ran out. There were a lot of fans that just were not pleased with the offensive production. The Cardinals didn't score over 30 points a single time in 2025. And then you look at the overall defensive output of the Cardinals. They finished bottom 6 in both DVOA, points per game, and yards allowed per game too. So I know those stats are very general. They don't really tell the whole story. But the Cardinals, thanks to a mix of wild injury luck, for lack of better terms, and just overall not ability to get coaches to bring guys up through the depth chart and off the practice squad and get them to be game ready. But the Cardinals defense really faltered. And that's surprising to say because they poured almost every bit of capital in free agency and the NFL draft into that side of the ball heading into 2025. And Nick Rallis did a very commendable job in 2024 with a lesser talented unit. I think that's why a lot of people here in Arizona expected the playoffs to be a thing because they only seemingly got better on defense and they weren't able to get it done. And to your point about the whole CEO kind of role thing, that works when things are going well, right? Like when you can kind of have your hands off and not really interject and let people do their jobs. That's fine and dandy when things are going well. But when you start 2-0 and then you lose your final 14 of 15 games in the desert and you don't make any changes, and granted, like you don't have to make any swift big changes. There wasn't really a whole lot of things I feel like Gannon could have done to make swift changes to turn things around in Arizona. But a lot of people here think that he failed to interject and intervene as a head coach when he probably should have. And maybe that changes as a defensive coordinator now that he's only tasked with focusing on that side of the ball. But I do think the head coach experience certainly helps him. And I think that'll only make the Packers defense better, especially after losing Jeff Hafley. That's a big, big loss.
Donnie, Druin, Cardinals on SI, joining us on the Mason Crosby Show presented by Verizon. You mentioned winning his first 2 games and then losing 14 of 15. So the Cardinals this year beat the Saints, beat the Panthers, lose a 1-point game to the Niners, lose a 3-point game to the Seahawks, and then basically the disaster in the desert. Up 21-6 in the fourth quarter. DeMarcado, is that the running back's name?
DeMarcado. Yep.
Yeah. Has the 72-yard touchdown run to basically ice the game, make it 28-6, but fumbles at the 1, drops the ball. And famously, we have the video of Jonathan Gannon, like, basically eviscerating him on the sideline, putting his hands on him, and the Cardinals collapse in that game. And that was kind of like I don't know if it was the fumble itself. I don't know if it was Gannon's reaction, but everything was a kind of a disaster after that for the Cardinals. How did that situation define Gannon's season and what happened with the Cardinals?
Yeah, it felt like after losing really tough divisional games to both the Seahawks and the 49ers, and granted, those were both off game-winning kicks. They were within a 4-day span of each other, going from Sunday to Thursday. So, that's kind of how the cookie crumbles in the NFL. Sometimes it is what it is. But up 21-6, and, if DeMarcado just holds on to the ball for maybe a tenth of a second longer, they're up 28-6. That's essentially the nail in the coffin. And I think it's really funny because people in Arizona had slandered Gannon for being too stoic on the sideline. He didn't show any emotion. He was kind of just calm, cool, and collected no matter what was going on. So for that to have happened on the sideline, I think caught everybody off guard. And obviously that wasn't Gannon's finest moment. He apologized for it. The team fined him, I think, $100,000 or something like that. So they tried to move on, and for whatever reason, they weren't able to get over that hurdle. But one thing I do want to say is I don't think Gannon's players ever stopped playing for him. I don't think that team gave up, which people might disagree with that, seeing how they lost the last 14 or 15 games. But I don't think it was an effort problem towards the end of his tenure in Arizona. I think it was just a personnel problem. I think that the coaching staff was very inexperienced. I think they were very green. I think that the players they were working with, I mean, entering, I think, week 16 or 17, they used 80 different players, which led the NFL in terms of like trying to get over that injury hump. So it was just the perfect you-know-what storm of everything that could have gone wrong, basically did in Arizona.
Donnie, I wanted to ask a little bit about Jonathan Gannon, just from a defensive side of view. You said that he wasn't calling plays. We had learned that once he was going through the interview process in Green Bay. They were all also looking at a lot of guys who weren't calling plays last year in the NFL either, a la Jim Leonard, Al Harris, were some speculation with that job. What are some things, though, that you noticed that were maybe immediately different, going from a guy like Cliff Kingsbury beforehand and then going to a defensive focus, Jonathan Gannon, because the defensive head coach might be back in the NFL. You're looking at McDonald right now and Vrabel being the top two guys in the Super Bowl. What are some immediate changes you saw to the Arizona Cardinals defense, for better or for worse, when Jonathan Gannon got in?
Yeah, I think defensively, the first thing that comes to mind is just specific player development. Obviously, Cliff Kingsbury being on the offensive side of the ball, I don't expect him to squeeze a lot of juice out of outside linebackers. I don't expect him to coach a fifth-round rookie corner like we saw with Denzel Burke this year into basically a perennial starter who unseated a second-round pick in Max Melton over the course of 2025. I think it's probably one of the more notable things. And I keep coming back to the locker room. I keep coming back to, because I remember sitting 10 feet away from Michael Bidwell whenever he fired Cliff Kingsbury. I remember following that very dramatic HBO Netflix-esque year the Cardinals had before he got fired. And things just changed. Like, you don't hear leaks out of the Cardinals building. You don't feel problems in Arizona's locker room. Like Gannon, I think, like I said earlier, first and foremost is a great guy. And I think when you have a great guy who is intentional on getting other great guys to go on your football team, that just maximizes everything. Like, I don't think there's going to be any problems on the Packers defense. I don't think there's going to be any egos that like are going to have to be checked after walking through the door. And I think most notably, like Josh Sweat, for example. Josh Sweat brought over from the Philadelphia Eagles, signed him to a massive 4-year, $76 million contract. He's had his two best seasons under Gannon, both in Philadelphia and then this past year in Arizona. So like, he knows how to get the best out of edge rushers. And then cornerbacks, he coached up day 3 picks almost every year of his tenure in Arizona to become starting caliber guys. Now, like, are they perennial all pros? Absolutely not. But if you can get the most out of guys who aren't expected to do much, I think that's just really, really good signs for the Packers secondary.
Awesome. We got Donnie Druin joining the Mason Crosby show. We're talking about Jonathan Gannon, the Packers' new defensive coordinator. I got to ask you just an interesting question from a locker room perspective. Did the guys, how did they respond? You know, we all saw the Hard Knocks, like his opening team meeting, and, talking about, did anyone take a bus here, and like the toughness factor and all of that. Like, how did that land in the locker room? I can just imagine being in that space. Like, there were a piece of a group of guys that probably maybe gave him a hard time about it, or, kind of like went back. It was like, man, like that was a little over the top, a little ridiculous. Like, how did that all like settle out over his time? Is that who he is all the time? Or was he kind of putting on a show there for his first meeting?
Yeah, I just think he's a quirky dude. Like, I think that's what it really boils down to. I think he probably
kind of thinks like that. Yeah.
Yeah, no, he's kind of a Ted Lasso kind of guy. Like, he's never had a bad day talking in press conferences. Like, he's always upbeat and energetic.
Nice.
And I mean, watching the Cardinals get throttled towards the end of the year and watching him walk into every presser just with the same amount of energy as he did on the first day of training camp, on the first day of season, like, that's real. Like, that is very legitimate.
I like that.
I'm not quite sure what the overall player reaction was to those first videos that came out, but what I can tell you guys is, hours before they made the decision to fire Jonathan Gannon, Monday morning, we're doing exit interviews, and I'm not exaggerating. Every player we talked to vouched for him to come back. every single player from Marvin Harrison Jr. to Trey McBride to Paris Johnson Jr., like big guys within his locker room who carry a lot of weight with their words, were vocal about him coming back. I don't remember talking to one player on or off camera that was like, nah, like he needs to go. Like, I'm sure there were guys in the locker room that felt that way, but they didn't make it known. And I really do think he had to vote to the locker room. And I think he's going to have a good grasp on that whenever he goes to Green Bay.
Awesome. I do want to ask a little bit about, we're in the midst of head coach hiring. I don't know how Arizona does it. I mean, it looks like Cleveland Browns hiring process is like the most ridiculous process in the history of the world. I am seeing rumors that, our head coach, Matt LaFleur's brother, might be the front runner there in Arizona. What are you hearing down there?
Yeah, I certainly would agree with that. I think right before we started recording, LaFleur was reported to have an interview both today and tomorrow, which is certainly a good sign for him to be brought on. And I think he's one of the few guys who have coached under both Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan too. And in the NFC West division with Shanahan and McVay and McDonald, it's a track meet. It's a track meet every time you gear up and you strap the chin strap on. They went 0-6 in the division. Their offense, like I said earlier, didn't score more than 30 points once an entire game this year. So they really need to get things figured out, and they really need to figure out what they're going to do at quarterback with Kyler Murray. I think Michael Fleur is going to be a very good step into the right direction, only on the premise that he brings a veteran staff with him too, because I think Gannon banked on an inexperienced offense coordinator, and he banked on an inexperienced defensive coordinator too. And I do think that ultimately came back to bite him. So LaFleur, not a whole lot of like experience. He called plays for the Jets a couple of years ago. Obviously doesn't do that under Sean McVay now. But like, if you're looking for a home run hire, if you're looking for a swing of the fences, like the Cardinals probably should be doing, I think LaFleur's got to be the top guy.
Yeah, well, like you talk about that, like I've said that like so many times on our show. Like Matt LaFleur had instant success in Green Bay because he had Aaron Rodgers, he had a veteran team, and the Packers, did the work to give him a veteran staff. Mm-hmm. Like part of hiring him on was like, we're going to put some coordinators and some people around you that will make your job a lot easier, who have been in those positions before, so you can have success right away. And as you develop, then you can start bringing in your guys, right? And I just don't understand why all organizations don't do it that way. It's like you bring in a guy that's never been a head coach, and it's like, yeah, sure, just pick your staff, like bring in your buddies, bring in guys that like you want around you. That's not how you win. So I hope that y'all have success down there, because I always say it. Weird things happen in the desert. Every time I've gone and played down there, it's like if y'all have good teams, you can be, something to be reckoned with down there in Arizona, just because you go play there and wild things always happen in the desert.
Yeah, it's wonky for sure. Obviously, you've been a part of some teams that have played in the desert, and weird stuff happens whenever momentum gets going down here. Like, people really like to support the Cardinals, but it's just getting those people into stadiums, getting those people into seats. And I think the first step in kind of getting that back is to make the right head coaching hire and go from there.
I got one more for you here too, Donnie. How are the fans feel about Jonathan Gannon leaving? I know you talked about the players and all of their testimonials. Packers Twitter is like, no matter what, 50-50, it feels like, on every single issue. But was it like we need to move in this direction, or I wanted to see what he can do with one more year? What was just the overall reaction to maybe some Twitter fingers on the Jonathan Gannon leaving Arizona?
Yeah, they wanted him gone for sure. I think for those who don't know, the Cardinals were 6-4 at their bye week last year. They were leading the NFC West. I vividly remember being in the press box looking at like flights for like possible postseason games. And then I think they lose their final 5 of 7 coming after the bye week. They finish 8-9. They crumble out of the postseason. But I think that's kind of what maybe started momentum for Gannon to have been gone. And everybody knows like a third year is so pivotal in the NFL, whether it be for players or coaches or whatever it might be. And I don't think Gannon had a like postseason, like you have to make it or else you're gone kind of referendum. But just with how things like played out, like it's really hard to justify bringing a guy back, losing your last 14 out of 15. And if we even want to go look at the 2 wins, like they barely scraped by on the final play of the game against the Saints and the Panthers to start the year too. Like they very easily could have gone 0-17. And I think when you look at the dynamic of it, something just needed to happen. Gannon's not a great guy. He is a great guy. I don't think he deserved a lot of the flack, but ultimately, like, he just refused to make changes, and fans were simply they had enough of it, and they eventually got their wish.
All right.
All right. Well, Donnie, thank you so much for taking the time with us today. Donnie Druin, follow him on Twitter at Donnie Druin. Cardinals on SI. Keep up the great work. I know you do a lot of work down there with the Suns as well, and when we might make a call when Brewers play the Diamondbacks this year.
Yeah.
We got there's a lot going down there in Phoenix, so enjoy. And we'll catch up with you down the road.
Stay warm. Stay warm. Stay warm.
Yeah. I appreciate you guys. Really quick.
Bundle up.
Yeah,
Donnie. I was literally looking. I'm in just south of Nashville, and we're in the middle of an ice storm. All that, like, I can't tell you. On Saturday afternoon, I was looking at flights to Phoenix, and I was like, maybe I could sneak out of here and get somewhere warmer. It was definitely an option.
I have a prediction.
Mason, you let me know if you come down here. I'd love to buy you your favorite juice beverage. Also, I don't know if you know, I'm from Pittsburgh, and I was a diehard Steelers fan growing up. So you ruined a Sunday for me. You know exactly which one.
I'm so sorry about that. Oh yeah, now you got Big Mike though. So
any Giannis questions for us, Donnie? I mean, everybody just wants to talk about Giannis nationally. Got any Giannis questions for us that we can help?
Yo, I don't think so. No, I think the Suns are doing just fine without him. So
nice. Awesome.
All right.
Yeah, you delete Kevin Durant from that roster, and all of a sudden things go well. Apparently, not just Durant, but all right. Well, Donnie, thank you so much for catching up. This was great, and we'll definitely talk to you down the road.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you,
Donnie. Donnie Druin, Cardinals on SI, and 60s. So it's short sleeves.
Sounds nice, man. I am itching to get on the golf course. It is. I'm on struggle bus, and
it's just a plane trip away, Mace.
I know, but I can't leave the family. Molly's listening right now. Molly, I love you. I won't leave until I leave in a couple weeks to go play golf.
How excited is the family for the Royal Rumble this Saturday, Mason?
Yeah, I think there's not much excitement going on.
Next segment, Mason Crosby's going to name every active wrestler he can name.
Ooh, yeah, I like it.
Next segment, we're talking about Scotty Scheffler.
Scotty Scheffler, and let's talk about the games. We haven't even talked about the games from yesterday.
Let's
talk about the games.
Let's dive into them.
Yep. This is the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon. We are the Mason Crosby Show, live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. I don't know what the numbers looked like yesterday at the Sportsbook, but I'm guessing there was a pretty nice crowd for the AFC and NFC Conference Championship games. Patriots beat the Broncos 10-7. Seahawks beat the Rams 31-27. Let's go chronologically. What a difference of halves in terms of weather and ability to do anything. Mason, what's the worst weather you ever kicked in? Because I felt bad for those kickers having to try to hit 43 and 46 yarders in not just the snow, but the wind and everything going on there.
Yeah, that was gnarly. Just clearing off the field, like getting that footing right. And I kept saying it yesterday, though. Those guys were still full sending, trying to hit their best ball. And kind of in those conditions, like you got to have a number 2 kick, right? Like you got to kind of have one. Just like in golf, like if you you have conditions, wind, all of those things, you got to have that secondary swing.
Okay.
And it felt like a couple times, snaps are like, it's tough to say. Like obviously the snapper, the holder, they're professionals and you expect it to be, great every time. But it's like everything has to kind of slow down, and then you have to be very compact and make sure that you just make great contact every time. So a couple of those kicks, I was just like, gosh, it looks like they're still just trying to rip it full go, and it's just hard to do in those conditions. So obviously I played in a million games where it was nasty. I still remember one of the tougher ones, even my rookie year in that snow game. Luckily, I didn't have any real tough kicks against Seattle where we beat them 42-14, or I think that was 48-14.
Yeah.
And just kicked extra points. But I just still remember clearing off the field, and it was like you'd clear a spot and then it'd be covered with snow, seconds later, and you're just hoping your plant foot sticks. So all those things play a factor into it. But yeah, what was it? It was pretty clear until 5 minutes left in the third quarter, and then all of a sudden it just deteriorated. It just became nuts.
Well, and you brought that up earlier in the show too. It was crazy how even though the score was close, and you think of it from a weather perspective, like the weather is a great equalizer, the game was over when the weather turned for the Broncos. It was absolute. Even though the game was close in the score, like you could tell they were not going to do anything during that game as soon as the snow was happening.
Yeah, with a backup quarterback, like the run game wasn't going to do much. Like it was just, you could just see the tides turn. That New England was going to hold on.
Do you take Sean Payton to task, as many in the national media are today, for not kicking that field goal in the first half? I think. Yeah,
you got
quarterback. Like, do you think this game's getting into the 30s?
You knew that the weather was coming, right? Yeah, it's like what's happening. Like, you have to kick that, right? You got to go up 10-0. Just make it a defensive game. Your defense was elite. Your defense can hold. The Patriots hadn't done anything all postseason,
and they didn't. The only touchdown they gave up was the turnover at the 10-yard line or whatever it was. Exactly. It should have been a defensive touchdown. But even though it wasn't, the defense gave up an 8-yard drive or whatever it was.
Exactly.
The defense gave up nothing all day.
For sure.
I kind of feel bad for the Broncos defense. They did their job.
They did their job for sure. And then I saw some stuff where it was like, you look at Drake May's numbers. What was he? 10 of 21 for 86 yards.
Yeah. He ran. Now he did have
the
10
fact that they won
65.
that game is impressive, though.
Yeah, his feet won that game for the Patriots.
Yeah,
10 for 65. Like that. Yeah, that was.
I saw. What they have? They have 4 missed field goals in that game
total.
Yeah, between the two teams, which is the most in any championship game.
I saw a tweet that said if Jordan Love put up Drake May's numbers in an AFC championship game, they'd lose 63-0.
That's what I saw
That's
too.
What I heard. What do you have to say about that, Mitch Nellis?
It's fine.
All right. Just curious how you feel.
Yeah.
No, it is impressive. Give Patriots credit. Like offensively, Denver's defense played amazing. Patriots offense sputtered, and they still found a way to win. And that's what makes great championship type teams.
When Stidham hit that first throw, did you think, ooh, this might be real? Like,
yes.
Yeah.
And that's what I kept saying. And I'm like, but now again, you can't really evaluate because of the weather. But before the weather, the decision he made where he throws that ball, just take the sack. Yes. Your defense is good. Punt the ball.
Yep.
Like, take the sack there. I'm like, why do you think he's been in the league as long as he has and he hasn't gotten a starting job, right? Yeah. Like, I feel bad for him, but I'm also like, as an evaluator of players and all that, how do backup quarterbacks like that continue on if they aren't a guy that steps in and wins ball games for you?
Right. It was the first quarterback ever to start an AFC championship game that never had a pass attempt in that season as well.
He hadn't thrown a pass attempt in 2 years.
Yeah, that's the last start at least he had.
Or
was
his
like
last,
the
like,
729 days.
Insanity.
I don't want to turn this into the exact same story, but a week ago we couldn't stop glazing Indiana for one of the best turnarounds possible in a season. The Patriots are 4-13 last year, and they're in the Super Bowl now.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the year of it right now. Now, mind you, the Patriots
great coach, great GM.
Also,
I mean,
Robert Kraft.
You got to give Wolf a lot of credit for building this roster out and like what he did to get this team to where they are.
And I know I heard a few people talking about how like, well, does Wolf get the credit because like, he hired Vrabel, and how hard was that? And I just want to make it clear, Wolf didn't hire Gerard Mayo the year before. He was already in the pipeline. So that was not a Wolf situation. But certainly building this. And if I'm the Patriots, I know the Seahawks are already 4.5-point favorites, but I'm like, man, we just played the Texans and the Broncos defense. We're not scared of Seattle's defense.
They should be.
Are
you serious?
After playing the Texans and the Broncos?
I mean, Seattle's probably the third. Like they're the next.
So they're third, but they already beat 1 and 2.
And then they can put up 30+ points too. So
all right, I have a
like they actually have an offense. Like I think in my early prediction is Seattle's going to win this game by 10 points.
All right, that's a good prediction. I have a little bit of a hot take because of course everybody's going after Sean Payton for not kicking that field goal.
Yeah.
I said this at the time, so I'm not saying this now. I think with 4:59 left at the 4th and 4 at the 6-yard line, I thought the Rams should have kicked the field goal. I know they're down 4, and I know you need a touchdown, but you're going to get the ball back.
That's true.
Right?
They had enough time.
At 5 minutes
I agree
left,
with you.
Whether you go up or you're down, you're going to get the ball back. And I'd rather get the ball back after cutting it to 1 point than if I'm still down 4 and I give up a touchdown, Seattle ends the game. If I don't give it up, I need a touchdown then you
get 3 timeouts too.
Right.
I totally agree.
I know they didn't get the ball back till 25 seconds left, but if they had figured out a way to get it back with 45 seconds left and all you need is a field goal instead of a touchdown, that changes that whole last drive. I think not just because I picked the Rams to cover, but I do think I like sometimes with 5 minutes left, take the points.
That goes to analytics, right?
Right.
Like is analytics kind of killing like some of that, right? Like some of the
I think it is
the feel of the game where it's like, okay, like let's trust our players. Let's do that. Nope, we'll just lean on analytics. This is what analytics say. Because like that had to be what Denver. They're like analytics say go for it there. Like, but you got to look at what the game is,
right?
And what these two teams are. Yeah,
weather's coming.
Yeah.
Tommy,
this is like the argument of the people wanting that football guy in the room, right? That you rah get the boys hyped up. Those guys are anti-analytics. Like those are the people that you're just talking about. You just want like Mike Vrabel is not looking at a spreadsheet while he's coaching. Sean McVay is every time, right? Like that's how the game has evolved in that way. You get what you get with that. Sean McVay been to a Super Bowl, won another one on top of it. Mike Vrabel in a Super Bowl, won a bunch as a player
but
now.
Sean Payton's been like, why is Sean Payton playing the analytics?
I mean, he should be in jail, so I don't even want to talk about Sean Payton. Like, just call it how it is, man. I mean, I can't believe he's allowed to coach in the NFL and he's still able to be there. But I think that what we really need to be talking about is I think like with all the arguments we've been doing, talking about top 5 quarterbacks, like Sam Darnold's entered the conversation in the NFL.
I think that the analytics in football is so tricky to me because it's such an imperfect game, right? Like how can you have these stats and it's like a stat where it says it's 60% says to go for it. Is that like a good enough stat to just hang your hat on to go for it every time in that situation? Like, for me, that is not.
If you do it every time,
then it's 60%.
Right, then maybe you come out ahead.
I just don't even. Yeah, I don't even think.
Pick and choose when I don't know. Jordan Love in his one playoff game this year had a quarterback rating of 103.8.
Yeah.
Okay. Second in the NFL. Josh Allen was 99.8. Matthew Stafford's 94.4. Sam Darnold in 2 games is 122.4.
I guess
Holy moly.
He's a baller.
Tommy, I'm giving you love right now.
Yeah,
Take it.
I'm
Take
just
the
saying
flowers.
that Sam
Take the
Darnold,
flowers.
he should be considered it right there because he had a great year last year. And by numbers, 100%, he had 2 straight years better than Jordan Love, just on the stat sheets. And I love Jordan Love. I think what he does is top 5 worthy at some point in his career. Sam Darnold's just already there right now.
Sam Darnold's won 30 games in 2 seasons. I mean, that is
What,
insanity.
you can't deny what he's done. And the most fun stat you'll read all week is the 26 quarterbacks have been drafted from USC in the NFL. That is the most of any other school. And Sam Darnold is the first one to play in the Super Bowl.
Mm. And I did see this though too. It's like
never made it. Yeah, that's crazy.
Playoff, like losing a playoff game though, like they're saying, like it can't be like QB stats anymore, or like things like that, because it is like the Jordan Loves and the Matthew Stafford. I mean, Matthew Stafford had a heck of a game, and they still get knocked out, right? So it's like, and that was always the Aaron and defense let him down or things like that. Even though sometimes like he didn't have his best games, like that like he'll hang his hat on that, but. It is interesting how win or lose, especially in playoff times, like we look to the quarterback in all of those situations.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Kenneth Walker also needs a shout out.
Kenneth
Walker,
Walker,
that guy, holy hell!
Let's talk about John Schneider for a moment.
Please
like,
do.
Just look at the team, like in those Seattle Seahawks teams. Like if you look at the types of players and how they play the
From
game,
the Legion of Boom, right?
Yeah, yes,
till
exactly.
Today, like
how they play the game is just different.
Yeah,
and it's a John Schneider thing where it's like, and we had John Ryan on
Why
Friday.
can't we get guys like that?
And he talked about it, and it's just like there is just an expectation of when you come and you are part of that organization. This is like the type of player you have to be, or we will find somebody like that will replace you. And it's like Kenneth Walker. I mean, the guy, like 5 foot nothing, like, it's like, but he is electric fast, and he is literally going to grit and grind for every extra like inch of yardage he can. And like, it's so much fun to watch that team because of how they play ball. Like, I hate how they grab on defense and do all that, but they're doing it all the time, and they play relentless football regardless of what happens in what situation, comes their way.
Mason, do you think that John Schneider took what he learned in Green Bay, and obviously there was something within him as well, and said, like, I can make this even better? Like,
I think so.
And that's an amazing thing to think about, because we talk about how well Green Bay runs things and how, how steady they are and how consistent they are. And it was great. Like from Ted Thompson to Brian Gutekunst, like good. I would argue very good. I don't know, very, very rarely great in terms of success in getting to Super Bowls. And John Schneider was just like, I've seen everything they've had to teach me, and I can make it even better.
Well, here's John Schneider's story for you. So in 2009, I believe it was, I had missed a field goal in like 3 straight games, and he literally called me on a Tuesday.
That's a human Tuesday. By the way.
You hate getting that phone call, but he calls me, and he's straightforward with me. It's probably week 12 or so, and he's like, "Hey, like you're my guy. Like just so you know, we've had conversations. Like if you don't get this figured out, like we're going to move on."
Yep.
And I can't tell you how I appreciated that clarity and that like him just like stepping up and saying like, you're my guy. Like we want you here and I want you to have success, but just so you know, this is where we stand. And I finished off the season really strong. And like, it was just like that type of stuff. That's true leadership, right? Where you step into somebody's space, you tell them and you shoot them straight, and like that relationship wasn't going to like go anywhere. Even if I had struggle and they'd release me, I've been like, I appreciate John Schneider for stepping up and doing that in that moment.
That's awesome.
And so like, those are types of things that I feel like we talk about in Green Bay. Aaron's talked about, different guys have talked about, just not that, like that open clarity of like, this is where you stand. This is what we need from you. Like, be this guy. Like I just wish they would open that up a little bit more up there at 1265.
414-677-1250, the Nicolay Law Talk and text line. Get your text messages in, your thoughts on the Super Bowl matchup. But Ram is on the north side of Milwaukee. Ram, you're next up on the Mason Crosby Show.
Hey, thanks for taking me. Hey, Mason, I listen to you guys all the time down here. I'm here in Milwaukee. And what
Appreciate you, Ram.
was so pivotal to your last comment. And I call it professional pressure, because it's not like you're playing for free. You're getting paid to play. Yep. And I think a lot of people don't understand it. This new generation too, they get the money and they kind of, they say I'm here, but to play at a certain level, because as a kid, I've been watching the Packers. I'm 60, so there ain't been a lot of football players up there. And so I see you going into the Hall, definitely the Packer Hall of Fame. So that's one thing the Packers have been good at, getting kickers and quarterbacks for sure. That's but right. What I was going to ask you is, I went to school in Colorado.
Okay.
And two questions. I'm going to get off the air. Let's talk about the conditions, because, the weather out there can be crazy. It could be like this today, and tomorrow it could be 60 degrees. Now I was looking at that game. And then secondly, I do agree you should have kicked the field goal. But when you're talking about the playoffs, I heard Aaron Rodgers made a comment once. He said that during the regular season, you earn your money, but in the playoffs, you build your legacy.
That's right.
And when you talk about players, I don't care if they're quarterback, the people we remember, like that we debate about, is the people that perform in the playoffs, whether they win the Super Bowl or not. But could you just speak to that? And I'll get off the air. Thanks for taking my call, guys.
Thanks, Ram.
Yeah, Ram, I appreciate you. And I love that point. Kicking in Colorado. So they're, it is different. Like that weather yesterday, it's a drier air, all that. Like, I would have definitely rather played in Colorado with those types of conditions than in Wisconsin or Chicago or any of that, where you get that wet lakefront, lake effect snow, where it's just heavy and gross. Like, I do feel like Denver might have been a little easier conditions than some of the stuff that I played in there in Wisconsin and in Chicago in my career. But and then whenever I was there in Boulder, like, we played into Thanksgiving. Like, yeah, we'd get some cold days. There'd be some snow flurries, but I never played in anything like I did in Wisconsin there in Colorado. And then speaking of the playoffs, that's a great point. It is where you build your legacy. There's some amazing players. No one's going to deny that Devontae Adams, one of the best wide receivers of all time in this league, but he's 0 for 5 in the NFC championships. He hasn't won a Super Bowl. There will always be that, like, what if he doesn't get that, right? Not to take away, and he's probably going to be a Hall of Famer. Like, he's probably going to get all the accolades individually, but this is still the ultimate team game. And something nobody can ever deny or take away from you is when you win a Super Bowl, you do it as a team and you have that legacy. I can go back with that 2010 Super Bowl team always and forever. And we wear those rings and we know those stories and those moments, and that will go with us forever, regardless of what happens in the rest of our life.
Love it. He is Mason Crosby, master storyteller. Man, I would sit around a fire and just listen to you tell Super Bowl stories.
I wish I could play the guitar. Then I could sing songs.
We'll get Ruvel to come in. And
You're retired. Come on.
Yeah,
I'll learn that.
That's right,
yeah,
that's
exactly.
Right. He's Tommy Wirtz. I'm Mitch Nellis. Mason Crosby's Extra Points are next right here on the Mason Crosby Show.
What's on Mason Crosby's mind today?
Now I'm thinking.
It's time for Extra Points, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Mason Crosby Show with Mitch Nellis.
Tell me what's on your mind.
On the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right. Thanks for everybody joining the Mason Crosby Show. Appreciate all the calls. Thanks to Mitch, Thunder, Nellis, and Tommy for holding it down as they always do. We're just still holding it down here in Brentwood, Tennessee. I'm looking outside at all this. It looks like frozen. Elsa is had her hand on everything here this weekend.
I love Q wrote that into the
I saw that.
Go back to Arendelle, Elsa.
That's right. I mean,
Brentwood.
we obligatorily watched Frozen this weekend, which you have to.
Yeah.
I remember one time there in Green Bay when we had one of these cold fronts and the ice and snow was like coming through the door frame. It was so cold and nasty.
Crazy. Yeah.
So a question I just want to say in my extra points here, and we don't have a lot of time. Why did the Packers again miss on like a Jackson Smith and Jigba? Why did the Seahawks see what no one else did, and they got him at number 20?
And people loved JSN in Green, like throughout Wisconsin. Yeah. Everybody was talking about getting JSN, and they just didn't do it.
Well, just talk about a place where it's like you get somebody and you make, just put them in a place like in a scheme and a system to be successful. I mean, that guy has just been unbelievable there for Seattle.
Yeah, I mean, at least we got Lucas Van Ness.
That's exactly right.
Yeah. Nice.
At 13 compared to JSN there at 20.
I have some mini breaking news to plug another show here. First of all, Tim Allen coming up for Sparky today. Yep. So he'll be on from 2 to 5. Okay. And this week on Hot Stove Weekly, just breaking right now, Jet Williams and Brandon Sproat will be joining the show from 5 to 7. Then two newest Brewers.
Yeah,
look at you.
Sproat the goat and Jet the Jet.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Jet
appreciate
That's
you, fellas.
Have
fun with that, Tommy. Don't quit working. Just just stay at the station full time.
Busier than ever.
Molly, who's listening right now, Molly, stay warm. You're doing great work with the kids. Get Mason to work. He's done with the show now. Put him to work. Let's go.
Yeah, this retired life's for the birds.
That's right. He's Mason Crosby. He's Tommy Wirtz. I'm Mitch Nellis, a.k.a. Thunder. We are the Mason Crosby Show, presented by Verizon, the official 5G network of the Green Bay Packers. We're live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Stay warm, everybody.
Later.